Big Willy here from Big Willy's Fab Shop. Today's episode, we are going to hop back on that 58 build. Grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and relax. Kind of first step here is undo the wiring. Take the seat off. They welded the seat in there, of course, so do that and start cutting some bolts that are rusty. Overall, not too bad. Removing the cab, it went pretty smoothly. The thing that fought me the most was that fuel tank. So that was kind of a tricky angle, get it out, binding, pry bar action. But overall, everything else went pretty smoothly for the cab. So just sit back, relax. I'm going to quickly go through it with a time lapse because it's not the most exciting information, but here it is. So time to move on to the fun stuff and cutting up the cab. The Expedition frame widths are quite a bit wider than the 58 frame width, so we had to cut out the cab to widen it. Overall, just really the rear cab corners here had to be widened out. And then the cab mounts on the Expedition frame had to be cut off because they were hitting the running boards. Next was moved to the firewall, and a lot of material had to be cut off, and there was a lot more on and offs as I've shown here, but it was put it on, mark it out, and then cut it. And then next it was time to move on to the body mounts. So I'm kind of just showing one of the rear cab body mounts that I whipped up in CAD and then cutting out on the plasma cutter and then welding them up and then welding it onto the frame. Overall, it worked out pretty good. And not too worried about the structural integrity of those cab mounts. I am more worried about the cab itself ripping off, so I'm going to do some structural improvements on the cab floor itself, but these mounts are not going to be going anywhere. 1/4-inch material. I might add some more gussets here and there, but I'm not overall too worried about it. At the time, I didn't actually have the cab mount bushings, so that's kind of my little mock-up there tool. So just a quick and dirty piece of pipe, And then next, after I got the cab kind of situated, it was time to move on to the front clip. A lot of measuring and cutting off here for the inner fenders to fit over the coilover buckets or the suspension, front suspension. So a lot of measuring, eyeballing, cutting, and then it was easier in that long run to actually take the inner fenders out and then mock them up and then trace them out a little more and cut it and back and forth, etc. So there's really no easy way but to do it. Take your time and eyeball it and measure it. And you know, if my 3D scanning tool would have worked, it would have been a little easier. But anyways, I bought the wrong one and it couldn't do that much surface area. So you live and you learn. So now, like the rear of the cab, I had to widen out the front clip here to get it over that frame width. So just cutting those apart, and then I have a pretty nifty little idea. I'll save it when we get to a next episodes down the road, but how to fill in those gaps and make it pretty much, hopefully it will appear like it never got widened. So stay tuned for that. But now it's just kind of sitting up there mocking it up. Overall, really happy on how it's turning out, how it looks, the fitment of the tires, etc. It looks pretty sweet. So showing the front radiator support here. I'm trying to offset it so I can hit that factory Expedition frame mount. Then here's the bracket for the front radiator support. So we'll be using the factory Expedition front mount. So overall pretty nifty there. So that's all I have for this episode. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, etc. Next episode on the 58 is we're going to be kind of stiffening up that cab floor. It's kind of saggy right now. And then from there, moving on to the bed. So we're going to try to put the bed on here. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot of cutting, a lot of modifications there. It's going to be pretty sweet though to see this thing kind of sitting on the Expedition frame. So yeah, let me know any comments you guys have or any questions. But otherwise, see you next time. Big Willy out.